I'm Stade. I'm a lighting artist and graphics programmer, hobbyist. I just mod games because I enjoy doing it, and also because there's no game industry presence where I live. There's something intended to be conveyed to the player about the world's design through basically every aspect of it. Dark Souls 2 generally lacks that. It feels very video gamey and kind of shallow a lot of the time. Thank you for doing a video on my dumb mod.
Would you explain, in your own words, what exactly are you attempting to do with Dark Souls 2 at the moment?
So it started with just doing lighting at the very beginning. I did a Dark Souls 1 lighting mod first.
Oh, okay.
And then I shelved that because we can't do new light maps at the moment.
Okay.
Dark Souls 1's lighting system is very limited, especially compared to Dark Souls 2's. It's very primitive and simple. Actually moved on to Dark Souls 3 from that because there weren't any modding tools for Dark Souls 2 at the time. For the record, I don't like Dark Souls 3 very much. So this was kind of out of desperation. There were other developments along the way. DS tools eventually got started up by Catalash, which allowed editing actual point lights and stuff, setting things to cast shadows and whatnot. Still super painful and slow going, but better. And then I learned that filter params are basically the same as G params, just slightly different. I managed to convince DK eventually to also support those, and then immediately jump ship to Dark Souls 2 and stopped working on Dark Souls 3 entirely.
Okay, so you've been working on mods for Dark Souls 1 and then Dark Souls 3, and now you're working on Dark Souls 2, and you may return to the previous games in the future.
1 I will definitely return to when light map baking becomes more of a thing. So you have this one square of really nice lighting, and then everything around it is completely broken because there's literally no light map space there. It's all using like the same pixel.
Right, so those 3 archways are lit very well, but
Yes.
nothing around it, you mean? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because the sun is hitting that archway.
It's not to do with memory of the game, it's just how they set it up, how they...
It kind of is. It was done to save memory, at least.
Wow.
So if they had fully light mapped everything with the same level of detail, either the light maps would have to be really low res and blurry, or they would be using a lot of memory.
I've seen on your streams, you seem to have the actual game playing, which you're moving through physically, and then you have some sort of 3D map or model copy open in, is it Unity?
Yeah, so that's DS Tools, and that's a plugin for Unity made by Catalash.
Okay.
Which imports the game's maps into Unity, interprets them so that Unity can edit them, and then sort of repacks and reshuffles things to make them back to like the game's format.
So what's the actual process then? It's very obvious you're not just changing a few sliders to affect the whole game's lighting or anything like that.
Oh, I wish I was.
You're like walking through the game section by section, and then I guess what are you doing? You're analyzing the map, seeing what things you could improve, and then going from there?
Pretty much, yeah. Or at least I try to be that organized. I'll give things a run through. I'll especially try to looking at concept art or pre-release footage if there is some available. Try to figure out kind of what I want to emphasize with the level. What is its kind of gimmicks? So for like Forest of Fallen Giants, it's okay. It's militarized, and a battle took place here a long time ago, and now it's overgrown by forest. How am I going to emphasize or just kind of better sell these aspects of this level as opposed to just doing the Dark Souls 3 thing of just adding in a whole lot of boxes everywhere? Yeah. Which Dark Souls 3 has a lot of boxes.
We love crates.
Yeah, there's crates, there's barrels, it's just so much. There's tables sometimes, there's chairs even.
just to show off their like destruction physics.
Yeah.
Just a flex.
Yeah. Kind of walk through the space, look at it, look at concept art, look at what lore there is behind the area and its characters, figure out what it's all about, and then try to convey that more strongly or just pretty it up in a way that makes sense for the area.
The 3D map copy you have open in Unity, when you make your changes in that, do the changes happen in real time in the game as you're walking through it?
For lighting, yes.
Okay. Because
Catalash is God, and he managed to hook Unity into the game's engine to read like the lights in memory, so you can modify them.
Wow, that must be helpful.
Really cool, yeah.
Amazing.
Other things don't, but all you have to do is just close out to the main menu.
So you have the lighting, and what would be the other elements that you're actually changing?
Objects and map pieces are kind of the other things.
Yep.
So objects are like dynamic things, like boxes that break, or things with physics, or like doors. And then map pieces they don't have collision of their own, they're kind of just visual. So map pieces are usually like smaller things, or things that are far away that you can't touch.
Would an example be like you showed on Twitter, where you redesigned the Shaded Woods tree line to frame the Shrine of Winter?
Yeah, so those trees are map pieces. I don't think they even have collision because you can't actually touch them.
What kind of things in the pre-release footage were not delivered in the current version we have?
Certainly the biggest thing is the lighting. The overall aesthetic of the game changed a lot, and almost exclusively for the worst. The color grading is completely different. Infamously, the dark areas aren't very dark. Very monochrome as well. That's probably one of the biggest things, is just, okay, what mood were they actually going for with this when they first started? And then seeing like details that might have been removed, see if I can add those back in, which is rare, but for Aldi's Keep in particular, I was able to add in basically all the clutter that used to be there in the pre-release footage.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I tried to be as meticulous as possible, but they did change the shape of the hallway ever so slightly, so towards the end I had to just start making it up.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, it's not ideal, but for the most part, it's pretty close.
I'm sure a lot of people ask about the pre-release darkness, the dark areas. Yeah. Any thoughts on those?
It's back and better than ever, baby.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably one of the easiest things to do, is just make an area dark, is you just turn off the ambient light, more or less.
Why didn't they do that?
I imagine because playtesters complained about it, and they didn't really have the time to refine it into like a super playable, like, okay, how do we make this as fair as humanly possible, and super balanced and still fun?
Right. So you think it was more like an actual gameplay decision to not have it as dark?
I think so.
Have you tried any of these ones, the more popular Dark Souls mods, like the Enemy Randomizer, Daughters of Ash, Cinders mod, all of those?
I am literally too scared.
Really?
I am so bad at these games generally.
Okay, interesting.
Dark Souls 1 I'm pretty good at. Dark Souls 2 I'm pretty bad at. Dark Souls 3 I'm really bad at.
So you don't actually try other people's mods, it's just
I want to, I just haven't. Because most of the mods that I see are very much aimed at people who have played these games a lot and are very, very used to them.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Very much for the hardcore fans of the games who just want something new and fresh.
Absolutely. The fact that you're doing this not to make some hardcore revolution, or because you seem to have a lot of people interested who maybe wouldn't be interested if you were making the game harder, but you're emphasizing Dark Souls 2's good points.
Hopefully, yeah, that's the idea.
It's a interesting mindset.
It feels like something that's lacking. Granted, it's something that's, I think, a lot less necessary for the other games.
I was going to say, I think a lot of people would agree with you that maybe Dark Souls 2 deserves this tender love and care more than the other two.
Yeah, it definitely, they got a raw deal when making this game. Sure, they kind of like one of the most depressing, like when you really get into it, development stories out there. Of just like, oh, we had all these great ideas, and then the guy in charge was really unfocused and didn't really know how to lead a team and get the game done. And then the publishers got frustrated with the whole project and were like, you know what? This isn't going to be a next-gen game anymore. Let's make this a cross-gen game. Release this 2 years earlier than you were going to. And here's a new director who is more competent, fortunately.
Yeah.
It's really, really frustrating when you really get into it, and a lot of the ideas that were cut were really, really cool. I do think they pulled it together about as well as they possibly could, given the constraints and given what they had to work with. I mean, there's a lot of good in Dark Souls 2. There's a lot of bad, but there is a lot of good.
How would you say the progress is going, and what kind of time frame are you expecting with a project like this?
A long one. A lot of it is, of course, just me being a stubborn asshole and doing it all by myself, because I'm very much afflicted with the if you want it done right, do it yourself mindset.
Are you doing it level by level? Like, have you, or are you just bits and pieces at a time? Doing
things kind of systematically, like, okay, here's this, let's work our way through all of this before we start moving on to other stuff. Helps a lot with efficiency and with kind of keeping your head in what you're doing. I tend to be very scatterbrained when it comes to modding, where I'll be like, oh, hang on, there's this thing over here that I could, oh, hang on, wait, no, there's something over here, wait, no, which is super not good for efficiency. I really need to get a little more organized and have like a proper roadmap of like, okay, here's all the levels to do. Here's how done I feel they are, and here's how much I need to do still.
How's the community response been? Have you been surprised?
I was very surprised initially when I set up the Twitter and I posted the first thing, because Zilly, she has quite a lot of followers on Twitter. She reposted that one, and then that got quite a big response. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's crazy. 2,000 people liked this. Wow, that's insane. I was managing Twitter for like 2 days straight, just trying to respond to all the comments. I'm not very good with this kind of stuff. That the whole social media, not very good at interacting with people in general, but definitely not over the internet. So it has been surprising and humbling and very, very scary. But I am very glad that people are as interested in the project as they are. That sort of thing, it helps a lot in just keeping projects like this going.
Hi everyone. Just want to say a huge thank you to Stade for being so open to talk about what he does with me, and for being kind enough to send me some of the beautiful modded gameplay you're watching right now. This was a topic that really sparked my interest, and I haven't seen too much coverage of it on YouTube, so hopefully it entertained you all as well. Why not give Stade a follow on his socials, which I'll link all of them in the description. Definitely go and show your support if you'd like to. Thanks for watching this interview as well. As you can see, I've been trying different video styles recently, and that's simply to keep my passion up. I know for me, that's how I need to stay motivated. That being said, we have a top 10 that's a bit overdue, so look out for that next. See you some boys.